Welcome back to the Bold Moves podcast. We are glad that you are with us. Corey Hepler is in the house. Kristen Hogue is with us today. Like normal. It's just a regular podcast. There it is. Like it always is. It's fantastic. We do have a very special guest today. Melvin Manning is joining us. Yeah. And the reason that is special is because his life has been 100% transformed through the sacrificial giving of a family who was willing to be a foster parent to him. And he embraced that, and that act of love and selflessness changed his life. And I love that. Yeah. I think that's a fantastic thing. When you foster someone, it changes lives. And I'm excited to talk about his story today.
Well, it wasn't too long ago, we had Ashley LeCount on the podcast.
Yes, that is correct.
And that's part of her story, right? Her and Ryan have just completed the adoption of their twin boys that they were foster parents for.
Yeah.
And man, I know it changed both of them, right? I mean, those boys are the direct beneficiary of Ashley and Ryan and their dedication to them. But Ashley and Ryan and Lincoln and Luke are also just as beneficial as part of all of that. It's just a win-win for all of them. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's probably well suited to be a foster parent. Correct. But yeah, it's definitely made an impact in a lot of lives for sure.
I have an amazing picture on my phone. I was able to be at the courthouse when that adoption became official for Ashley and Ryan and the boys. And it's such a beautiful moment that we were able to capture. It's like a family just came together because they went through the whole process, and that's official now. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And when you talk about the importance of looking after these kids in our culture that don't have a good family, that are struggling just to have any kind of acceptance or a place to belong, you're talking literally about the modern day orphan. Like in Scripture, when it says, what is pure religion? It's taking care of the widow and the orphan. It's keeping yourself free from the pollution of the world. Like when we talk about the modern day orphan, we're surrounded by them in all of our communities, these kids who have no family. They have no place to belong. And I think that putting the spotlight on this need in our community is probably long overdue. Sure. And I hate the fact that it's true that not a lot of church communities put a lot of focus on this. Like it was a little bit mind-blowing to me. I don't know that Melvin would ever say this, but I know he goes to a lot of churches and tries to get people to look at this need. And not a lot of churches are interested in really stepping up because it's messy. It's a little bit awkward. It's a big ask. But the reality is, if even just a few families catch the vision for the differences they can make by entering into this world of foster care and just investing in children, man, it makes a huge difference in kids' lives, and it impacts not only the kids but the families. It can be a really huge win.
It's a good reminder for churches to, and we've talked about this several times on the podcast, of how difficult it is to stay on the proper path of making sure that your focus as a church is on the outsider and not on the insider. Yeah. We've talked about that a lot here in our podcast. And that's actually, I mean, that just kind of speaks to that, actually. It's it's the churches who, they're doing some good things, I'm sure, occasionally, but there's several churches that the whole purpose is to meet as a club together to be this insider-focused thing.
And what are we doing?
They certainly enrich each other's lives as part of that, but man, I don't think that's what following Jesus is intended to look like exclusively.
Yeah.
And so, having... Again, it's not easy, it's not simple, and it does get incredibly messy to walk into some of these situations. But that's what we're called to do. We have to be part of it.
And I think a lot of times when you start talking about the idea of being a foster parent or bringing a child into your home, it can feel overwhelming because it's like, how do I make this fit? Is that really for me? And I think what we just have to be okay with is recognizing what you said is true. Number one, it's not for everyone. And that's okay. Like if fostering a child is not for you, the point of this podcast today is not to guilt trip you into going. In fact, many of you should not. Do not.
Oh my.
But because of the conversations that I've had with Ashley and Ryan throughout their process, to be clear, Melvin came in and met with our staff a few weeks back. Because of the conversation that he had with our staff, it led to meaningful conversations. I went home and talked with my family about that. Like, hey, this is a need in our community. We should pray about what that that looks like for us? Is that something that God would be leading us to do? Like, I think it's worth having the conversation and just seeing where God leads. And I think to that point, if even just a handful of people say, yeah, I do feel God's calling me to do that, and have that kind of an impact, man, that changes a trajectory for someone that impacts eternity and ripples through generations. And so, without further ado, let's bring in Melvin and talk with him for 5 good minutes, because this is a great conversation to have today. Let's give a good welcome to Melvin Manning. Melvin, it's really good to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us. We met you at a staff meeting about a month ago where you shared your story. And Melvin, I love what God's been doing in your life, but the story that you have, man, like, tell us a little bit about your story and why this topic of foster care is so important to you, man, because your story is fantastic.
Absolutely. Tim, well, I want to begin by thanking you for the invite to the podcast.
Absolutely.
And being able to just sit down and having the opportunity to share my story is truly appreciated. And again, I thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on here, man. What has happened in your life is an inspiration. I want to let everybody know about this. So take it away, man. Tell us your story. Why is this important to you?
So foster care particularly is near and dear to my heart, as I explained to you and your staff during your staff meeting, because I am a former foster child. Yeah. I'm a former foster youth with Bashor. Mm-hmm. And speaking of story, as you just referenced, full circle, right? I am now on the board of directors for Bashor.
I love that.
Yes, thank you. The first and only former resident to be appointed to the board. So it's very powerful, very spiritual to now come back and be a part of policy making, be the influence and the voice of the youth, right? Especially having been at some point in time one of those very youth, one of those very foster child and Bashor residents. So it's a full circle moment. It has given me the opportunity to advocate in a very special way for children, not only in residential placement, but for foster care. Right. We currently at Bashor, we have a lack of foster homes and foster families. So what I'm doing is recruitment 101, right? We are trying so hard to bring on families, to bring on homes for our youth. It's a challenging time right now for various reasons, right? Social issues, financial issues, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, we have to step up to the challenge. That way we are doing everything that we can to give these children the absolute best possible future.
Yeah. Melvin, you something that you shared with us really stuck with me. It was the reality that you had been part of the Bashor program, but you had this realization that you had the chance, and if I'm misspeaking this, clarify it. But I feel like the way I remember what you shared was that you had this opportunity to go back out of the Bashor home, back to your home and your neighborhood and your community. But you had this realization that going back there was going to be bad for you. It would be just a bad circle of influence, bad friends, bad atmosphere. And you just realized that the foster parenting situation would actually, it would honestly just change the entire trajectory of your life if you're able to stay in a foster care home. Is that right? Like, talk to me about that, because that's a significant moment for you.
It is. It was a very difficult moment in my life. It was a very difficult decision to make, right? So, as you explained, I actually was getting ready to transition from residential at Bashor, right, to go back to my home. But with just realizing that environment had not changed and was still very toxic for me, I actually made the decision to go to foster care and to enter into foster care. And the staff at Bashor, the former director of foster care, Jessica Lala, all of the staff was very supporting, very resourceful with assisting me with making not only that decision, but transitioning into foster care. And again, it was a difficult decision to make. You know, I had to deal with the unknowns, you know, although I was positive and hoping that it would be a better situation, it was still the unknown. It was still the what ifs. So again, that's a decision that was very difficult to make, but thank God it worked out, and it truly did. It truly did. My foster family was very supportive of every decision I made, good and bad, because the reality is I was still a teenager, and no teenager is perfect. So it was a win-win. It was a win-win all the way around. I had the ability to have a stable home and not have to worry about anything happening that would lead me back to residential placement or residential facility. It gave me a sense of, again, stability and peace, you know. So it worked out. Foster care treated me very well, and it gave me a sense of not only stability, but it gave me a sense of like, this is the future, right? You don't have to worry about, you know, the same issues that you were dealing with at home. You know, this is, you know, you're a kid, focus on education, focus on applying to colleges, focus on summer jobs, etc. And that's exactly what foster care gave me, is the opportunities to really be a child, be a youth, be a teenager.
So you went through the system, you went through that process, and I mean, that stacked the deck for your success. And now, I mean, you are who you are in large part because of that opportunity you had to change the trajectory of your future. And I know that that's why this is so important to you. What's heavy on your heart today as you see the need for foster homes and for foster parents to step up and help these kids? What's the need you see, and how can people help, Melvin?
The need is as simple as having hope, right? And giving a youth a chance, an opportunity, right? We just spoke about my foster family and my foster journey, and how that impacted my journey and my life, right? So I think it's easily said that it takes a village to raise a child. I think we say that so easily without really knowing the impact of what that means, right? So to bring a child in and to really nourish, right? To feed into that child, to feed into their life, their future, their education, and them, to feed into them is so impactful. Right. It's a world of unknown, right? To give that child the ability to not have to worry about sexual assaults or physical assaults or homelessness or all kind of things, right? To bring that child in and to just truly take a chance on that child. That's really what I want to send out there, right? Is that the impact it goes far beyond foster care. It's lifelong. You know, I still, you know, it's not daily at this point because they're sick of me now, but I'm still in contact with my foster family. You know, we keep up, we celebrate birthdays and see each other as much as possible. So it's lifelong, and it's a impact that is, it's unmeasurable. It's truly unmeasurable.
So Melvin, what I see in our culture today is there is such a need because there's so many kids that are hurting right now in our communities. I think we have to stop and not turn a blind eye to that. We have to recognize this is a need. I'm always inspired and pushed forward in my own life by the concept in Scripture that religion, in its purest form, is to take care of the widow and the orphan. And in our culture today, that's taking care of the orphan. Like, these kids, they've got no hope. And if we as followers of Jesus, as people who are trying to follow him and love like him, can meet a need in one of these children's lives, that makes a huge difference. It can make an eternal difference in someone's life that ripples through families for generations to come. And I think Melvin, it's great to celebrate stories like yours, where you are a life that is changed by this process. And I think that anything we can do to raise awareness for this and encourage people to think about, hey, what would that look like if I were to step in and get involved in someone's life and help change the trajectory of a child in our community. If you have the ability and the means to do that, man, I would just encourage everyone listening to consider that, to pray about that, and to think about how you could meet a need. Melvin, locally, let's just get practical. What does that look like specifically at Bashor Homes? How do people get involved in that? If they feel a tug to get involved, what are the needs? What are the next steps there, Melvin?
So we have Gary is our director of therapeutic foster care. Okay. So the first point of contact would be myself or Gary. And Gary deals with the operational side of foster care, right? So going out to do home visits, going out to do interviews, training, and onboarding those families. So anyone that's interested or have any questions, you can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Gary. No question is too big or too small. I know a lot of times people say, I hate to ask this. It may sound dumb. There's no such thing as a dumb question, because in a lot of arenas, this is uncharted territory, right? So we want to make sure that, we're setting not only the child up for success, but setting the foster home up and the foster parents. So, again, if you have questions, if you have interest, reach out to myself, reach out to Gary at Bashor, and we would be more than happy to sit down with you, to do a phone call, a Zoom meeting, what have you, again, to make sure that we are setting everyone up for success.
Yeah. I think another reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, but another reason this is so important right now is that the need, I feel like, is getting greater and greater. How many kids would you say, like right now, just at Bashor, would be in need of a foster home? What does that look like right now?
So right now, on a daily basis, that would likely average somewhere between 4 to 15 youth. Okay. And those numbers change monthly. But right now we would have anywhere between 4 to 15 youth that would qualify or that would be looking to transition into a foster home.
Yeah. So there's
and you are right, Tim. The need unfortunately continues to grow. Yeah. And again, I locally, I want to preach the fact that the need is there. And again, as a community, we have to step up to meet that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Melvin, I want to say, first of all, thank you for what you're doing to be a voice for people who many times don't have a voice, and for raising awareness for this need in our community. I just want to champion you and what you are doing, because I think that the idea of foster care and what it is doing in our communities is making a huge difference. And so anything I can do to champion that and raise awareness, I'm going to. And I'm so glad that you're joining us here on the podcast, joining us at Crossroads. Anything we can do to partner with you, we would love to, because, man, we believe in what you're doing. We want to celebrate change lives just like you do. And anything we can do, again, to love on the widow and the orphan and be the hands and feet of Jesus in our community, we want to do that. So, Melvin, thank you for leading the charge. We're excited for what you're doing and for what God has done in your life. Thanks again, man. Thanks for joining. We appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for the opportunity to share my story and to advocate for the need of foster care.
Those were 5 really great minutes with Melvin. I really like him, and it's exciting to see how the foster care idea and people willing to invest in his life have completely changed the trajectory of his life, and to see where he is now because of that. I just love to see that, and that's worth celebrating. It's good stuff.
Yeah, when he came in and spoke to the staff and shared his story about when he was at Bashor as a child, how it was different that he got to choose the family, because his home life was not something he was going to survive in.
He knew that if he went back to his home, he would not make it.
And normally, with talking with Ashley and Ryan, you get a call, you accept it, and they drop off, and that's kind of the end of it. But with him, he really got to see which families he could go, and they can accept him back. So Yeah, I enjoyed how that was different in his story than some other foster.
Yeah.
But it's just
probably
cool that
even more
Bashor,
meaningful to him because of that.
Yeah, it's just neat that Bashor, it's right here and that option is available for those families.
Yes, I mean, just being right here. I think sometimes what happens, especially in some of these conversations, and we're talking about people who have been marginalized and they're not, they're definitely part of the outsider group that we talk about a lot at Crossroads, is that we tend to have the sense, or at least I do, I'll speak for myself, that's somewhere
don't throw
else.
That negativity and judgmental on other people. Let's just own that, Corey.
It's just me. It's
you.
just me. I'll raise my hand and say, this is just me. Apparently nobody else deals with this.
Corey, you're the worst. Kristen, anything to pipe in on that?
Yeah, I agree. You're the worst.
This is going great.
Proceed. I think you were going to say something very positive there. Yeah.
Probably not. Anyway. So what happens is often I feel like
you're the worst. Start there again. Yeah.
These are issues that other people deal with. Gosh, I don't know, how do you make a point? There's no point to be made now. This is terrible. Okay.
Thank you for letting
other
us mess
people,
with you, Corey.
It feels like as though this is a problem in other communities, not in ours. What are we doing?
Corey, we've gotten in your head. Oh, look, he threw the microphone. It's the first time on the Bold Moves podcast a microphone has been thrown. A microphone has been thrown. We're sorry, Corey.
I don't think you are. I'm certain that you're
not, but we're amused and feel bad.
Okay. Take a deep breath.
You have a great point to make. Let's go. Yes, it feels sometimes that those are in other places.
Other issues, other places, not here, not our own people. Bashor's in our own backyard.
It's part of backyard.
It's part of what's happening right here in Elkhart County, actually.
Yes.
And I know that we have people that listen to us outside of Elkhart County, but no matter where you're at, you're going to have issues like this in your community. And the question is, are you willing to step up and be part of that? And maybe it's not in the avenue like we talked at the top of this podcast. Maybe foster parenting is not for you, and that's fine.
Right.
But there's a way that you can step up and help your community and be a crucial, integral part of that moving forward. And it's a choice. You get to make that choice.
As much grief as we just gave you, Corey, that's a really good point. Kristen, should we affirm him right now?
No.
I think that was a fantastic point.
It was actually. Actually, it was so good, Corey, that I feel like we need to highlight the fact that because this is a need that is in our backyard, there is proximity. And I think something that is amazing to me is that Melvin had told us he actually attended Crossroads when he was in high school. He was part of our youth group. And so it's like Bashor would bring some of those kids because they wanted to come to church, and we would love on them and support them and be there for them. He had already a connection with Crossroads because of that. You talk about being in our backyard. Melvin actually was part of our youth group for a while where he was trying desperately to figure out what life looks like and figure out what his next step is. And so, it's right here. These are the people in our community. And to that point, we've made this a pretty huge focus with our community center at Crossroads. We are intentionally, and we have an amazing group of people who are moving the ball forward so that we can be a hub in our community for foster parents, for foster families, to give them the resources and the encouragement that they need to be successful in these adventures, because we want to do everything we can to rally around and support these families because they are making a huge difference in so many lives. And so this is something that is not going away. This is something that we are leaning into, and it's a very real, tangible way that you can really lean in and change the trajectory of someone's life.
That's right.
Yeah. And so just to keep that in mind, I want to say this again. I feel like we've said this 3 or 4 times. Maybe foster parenting isn't for you. That's okay. But you know what? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Yeah. And so if you're thinking about that, you're praying about that, and you're trying to figure out what's our next step, reach out to us. We'll get you in contact with Melvin. Right. We'll get you in contact with Gary, who's at Bashor. There's all kinds of ways that you can connect with these kids and make a difference in their lives. If you feel like that's a way that God's leading you, man, act on that and just see where that goes, because God may open the door and you may have the opportunity to impact someone's life forever.
Start a conversation.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to see it all the way through and that by raising your hand right now and saying, I'd like to know more, that doesn't mean that that's going to be put on your plate necessarily. Like, you have at any point in time the opportunity to stop that conversation.
Yeah.
But start a conversation. You'll never know otherwise.
And both Melvin and Gary, when we met them, they were not these pushy
not at all.
salesmen. They want to find the right families for these kids.
Yes, they do. And they believe in what they're doing because it's impacted their lives. And I love that. So, hey, these are bold moves. Like, the podcast is called Bold Moves. Making that kind of a leap is a bold move. Sure. But I tell you what, that's a move that changes everybody's life involved. And so think about it, pray about it. If God's leading you, reach out to us. We'll get you connected and we'll make that happen. But either way, how about this? Know this today. You are dearly and deeply loved by God. And I think a lot of times it's good for us to stop and realize that not everybody really knows that, to lean into that. And if we can let somebody know that they are loved, be the hands and feet of Jesus, let's take every opportunity that we can. And if it's foster parenting, boy, if that's the bold move that God's asking you to make, what an amazing journey that is to be a part of, and life change that you get to be a part of with someone in our community. Yeah. Hey, that's good stuff. Guys, thanks for joining us today. This has been the Bold Moves podcast. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.